beautiful people. Yeah, I haven't gone live in a very long time. But yeah, we are here and we are back like Mukokotlo. I just hope people join because I have a lot to cook on today. So I just wanna cook and cook and cook. And if people have their questions and whatever. And then we can try and answer them. So I feel like the one of the main things I wanted to talk about today was just on because it's final exams. I can't even talk on how to prepare anymore. We're already within, so it's more on how to just keep going at this point and what to do on a ish, what to just do on a daily basis. What to focus on, how to go about it, what exactly, how should I behave, more like your daily habits throughout this exam period. What you do on a daily basis is very important. So I think that's one thing I wanted to talk about. And as much as we can talk on how, we are within the exam season, it's like there are still certain things that you still need to learn. There are still certain habits that you need to adapt to, things that you should not be doing, things that you should be doing. And these things really have a very huge effect on your exam results overall. You may think that you see how the beginning part of exams is so hyped, like I'm gonna be serious now, like good luck everyone, let's smash these exams or whatever. But then no one talks about this period of time, like the middle of the exams. As much as we're all motivated and whatever, happy at the beginning, we're like, I'm gonna be serious about this thing. No one really talks about how important it is, like the middle part of the exams, or rather the process of the exams, because we can give you the tips on how to prepare for the exams, but then what exactly goes on, in the exams, your behavior throughout your exams, how are you coping after each one, how do you handle yourself after each exam. So obviously maybe you write maths paper 2 today. What happens after that? Oh, actually, you write maths paper 1 on Friday, and then now how do you even remove that maths paper 1 on your mind and focus on the paper 2? Go, I feel like there's just a lot that just goes into it, and I feel like we just brush over it. We're like, I know we are within exam season, we are serious. And right now you are here because you're not studying. That is one thing. Or like just a quick example, you're on YouTube because you're not studying. And there are certain things that you said to yourself, for example, at the beginning of these exams, what writing, I'm gonna be serious like nobody's business. I'm gonna be off my phone, and here you are. So I feel like these are some of the things we don't really talk about. Just the struggle throughout the exams. As much as we can talk about the beginning of the exam period, how we are like serious, like motivated. I'm gonna be motivated and serious throughout these exams. 2 weeks down the line, or just a week down the line into the exams, you're already feeling this deep pressure, and it's a lot, wabo. And I feel like that's something most people, I don't want to say cannot handle, but they just go back to just the person that they were behaving like throughout the entire year. You get what I'm saying? So it's like you Arahani, you're trying to be someone different now during exams. That was like your goal. You were like, I'm gonna study every single day, I'm gonna be this type of person. But then now, jiggy jiggy, you are literally behaving like the person you were maybe in March or in April. Nothing has changed, Obo. So there are some people who can discipline themselves and actually do the things that they set out to do, and they're like, this entire exam period, I'm not gonna be on my phone, I'm not gonna be online. There are some people who actually do that, or so it's like, I would say, as much as we have those people, we just try and Yeah, exactly. So could be or we do the same things but we expect different results. Exactly what I'm saying. So there's just this boost of motivation that we get at the beginning of the exam period, and you're like, I'm gonna change. I'm gonna nail these exams. But then actually another point. But then what happens is that you are literally, for example, practicing maths the same way you were practicing throughout the entire year. Maths is still stressing you the same way it was stressing you throughout the entire year, and yet you talk about change. Agree, if you are someone who wants to change, your study methods should change. The way you look at maths should change. You should start understanding certain things in Euclidean geometry, but then it's still your worst topic, you know. So it's a thing, Yauri, you want to change, but then at the same time, it's like, ah, I don't know what to change to. Or like you want to become a better person, but then you don't even know where to start stepping in order to just change your direction in terms of like your marks. Well, because why couldn't you do the things that you are saying you're gonna do? Why couldn't you do them throughout the entire year? That's a very good question. If you're saying your marks, these final exams are gonna be different, ask yourself, no, so what exactly am I going to do different that I haven't been doing throughout the year? What method am I putting in place that was not there the entire time that I'm saying right now I'm gonna start doing this? What is it? So that's a very important question, and you really need to like just just try and ask yourself that question and look for that answer in your brain. Udu Claymore, am I genius? Not even close, Joe. I'm not that. I'm not genius. I just try and work hard. I try, Loho, and I don't work hard. I try and work hard. I'm not genius at all. Oh, but then I'm just, if I were to say I'm genius, I would say I'm genius in terms of just, helping people. That's what I'm genius at, not school. But yeah, anyways, as I was saying, when it comes to these things, ask yourself the question. Yeah, you said these final exams, you're gonna be serious, you're gonna change, you're gonna work harder, you're gonna study more. But what exactly are you gonna be doing that you haven't done throughout the entire year? When it comes to Euclidean geometry, when you say you're gonna work harder, what are you gonna do differently? And because the Euclidean on it's not gonna change. Sorry, Euclidean is not gonna change. It's still the same Euclidean ya go trapa. It hasn't changed. So what are you? It's all on you. Or what are you gonna do differently when it comes to studying? So you need to just ask yourself that question, because now, let me tell you something. We are deep in exam season. We are very deep, and everyone is literally suffering on their own. No one is gonna cry out and say, Agahan, it's exam season, but I need help. Like everyone is just crying on their own. Everyone is just suffering on their own, fighting their own battles. So I feel like I obviously this is not something we can change, but I feel like if we can just take every single person's mentality right now in this exam season, we take it to January when you started the year. This year would have been completely different. I don't even want to lie to you. If you were thinking how you were thinking, if you were thinking now how you were thinking in January, it would have been different. You get what I'm saying? So it's the thing, Yaori, we don't talk about it, and it's very important. I don't want to lie, like it's very important to, I don't want to say check up on each other, but it's like you need to just just re-evaluate yourself throughout the exam season. Don't just go deep into your books. What exactly are you doing in your books? What is your aim? What is your goal? What do you want to achieve at the end of every single study session that you have? What do you want to have understood at the end of the study session? So have those goals, one tip before I even answer any of you guys' questions. In the meantime, you can type your questions. But one thing that is very good and that I recommend, and it's stressful, but then at the same time, I really recommend, try to literally just open a question paper, a past paper. You see how they tell you to do past papers? This is doing past papers, but it's something different. So to just see where you are, or to just test your knowledge, open a past paper and just literally look at every single question, see if you can answer that question. If this question was to come in the exam, would you be able to answer it? Nah. You see, that's like the most important question. And this is not only about stressing you, but it's a process that will actually open your mind, or let me actually try and understand this question, because what if it comes in the exam? You know what I'm saying? So it's a thing, yeah, where it's something that will challenge you to actually work towards being able to understand it. Because one thing I can tell you, I'm not saying this, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this from a genius person's perspective, like Otto Kling said. I'm not saying it from a genius person's perspective. I've been an average learner for most of my high school years, where I just improved, I think, from grade 10. Well, so what I can tell you based on how much I've improved, and the things that I've learned throughout high school, and this is very controversial and most people won't agree, but one thing I can tell you is that every single topic, not even subject, every single topic in a subject is very much understandable. And every single thing, especially in maths and physics, every single topic, you can get to a point whereby you have actually mastered that topic, and all it takes is your patience and you being able to just keep going. Because it's like, just to make an example with something like algebra, you've only started solving the inequality thing. You've only started it in grade 11, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure if it was there in grade 10. If it was there, it was probably very easy. But it's literally something that you started learning in grade 11, right? And someone explained it to you and you understood it. Why? Mainly because it didn't need much effort to understand, and it had a very low, I call it the breakthrough point, right? It had a very low breakthrough point in such a way that you explain to me the quadratic formula once, Pakata, I understand, it's stuck in my head. But then with something like proving that ABCD is a parallelogram, it's still a question, just that teachers don't really take the time to just say, let's do 5 of these questions whereby we're practicing this until you guys fully understand. But then now the shoes fall onto you. That's your responsibility. You have to actually work. I always talk about this. I think most of you guys here have been in most of my lives. I always talk about breaking down the topics, right? Every single question inside of a topic in Euclidean geometry, as difficult as it is, it's difficult, and it's not as easy to just sit down and do the questions, because you have to analyze. When you try and analyze the question, you still don't see anything. It's a very stressful topic, but all I'm trying to say is that Euclidean geometry has a breakthrough point, and so is any other topic. And I have witnessed people getting to that breakthrough point whereby you actually break it and start understanding everything. And it's a beautiful feeling. You have topics where now, as you have certain topics that you only understood after a certain explanation. Maybe first time you didn't get it, but then maybe you were watching Kevin Math Science and then it automatically clicked. Or I don't know, you were listening to one of your friends and it clicked. You were doing a past paper and then you automatically understood where what was coming from where. So it's a thing, yeah, where it's very tricky. But then at the same time, I can assure you, and just, I don't want to lie, bruh. And it's such a beautiful feeling, and most people give up. They give up too early before they even get to that point of actually, or, like actually understanding the topic. and it's very possible. There's no such thing as a genius person. That person took time to sit down and do at least 5 questions on proving that it's a parallelogram. They did those questions, and the more you do it, the more you become familiar, the quicker you are when you analyze a Euclidean geometry diagram, no matter how complicated it is. You are able to analyze it faster. Those are some of the skills that you develop the more you start having specific goals. So the point that I'm trying to go to here is being specific in your practicing or your studying. Be specific, have your goals. And one thing with this one, I feel like one misconception, it's not even a misconception, one thing that I feel most people do wrong is that you study your life sciences, but you don't really know what you are studying for. You don't know what they're gonna ask. You get what I'm saying? Like, you open your textbook, you read on what was in life science again? DNA replication. You read on DNA replication. Sharp, you read that thing, but you don't really know what they are gonna ask or how they are gonna ask it. So just take all these points that I've said so far, connect them. Do Start by opening a question paper, look at how the question is asked, and then once you have an idea of how the question is asked, even when you do your studying, you do your studying with an aim. I want to be able to answer it like this. You get what I'm saying? Instead of just blatantly reading through everything, you're just writing a bunch of notes. You don't really know where what is going where. You know what I'm saying? So it's something that is very important, and just try as much as possible to have your aims when you're studying, and don't just study, I don't know, just loosely. Don't just do a bunch of questions. Even when you're practicing your maths, those aims, they still apply. When you're practicing your maths, if you're saying you're going to do Euclidean geometry, you know what you struggle with inside of Euclidean geometry. And if you don't know, just a tip: when you're doing that Euclidean geometry, the first question that gives you a problem when you're actually practicing, for example, write it down. And now, the more questions that you do, you're gonna look out for that particular question. So let's say maybe you're practicing your Euclidean geometry, right? It says, what's the question? Prove that triangle ABCD is similar or congruent to triangle DEF or whatever, right? So that's a type of question. And you saw, or while you were doing that question, you were sweating. You didn't know where to start. You didn't know what to do. But then it's the thing, you do that question, you check the memo, you don't understand, and you're like, Euclidean is difficult. And then you never try and look for more questions similar to that one. Obviously, even if you understood that question, it's gonna leave your memory. I don't know, after a minute or two, it's gonna automatically leave. So just try, or every single question that you come across, note it down. Even if you don't write it down, like, just say it to yourself, or okay, this question is saying prove that it's a parallelogram. When I look at the memo, the first thing that they did on the memo, they took the entire shape, and they said that AB, and I mean angle A and angle C, but what do they even call them? Opposite angles equal to 180, whatever. Then you just look at the process. You don't necessarily have to, I always say this, you don't necessarily have to understand at first, right? Obviously the aim is to understand, but you don't necessarily have to understand at first, but actually just knowing the process. Like, you don't necessarily need to know how to get to Cape Town, but you just knowing, hore, to Cape Town it's 2 hours. That's your first step, right? Knowing the process, or how do I go from this to this? Not necessarily going deep, or wait, why did they multiply by 2? When I at first, just keep in mind, or okay, here they multiplied by 2. You store it in memory. That's not understanding, obviously. You just store it in memory. Or in the next question that you do, you will notice that, I man, even here they multiplied by 2. What's this 2 thing? And then now, the more questions that you do, eventually you will get to a point whereby you just break through, man, and you understand, or oh, the past three questions that I've been doing, that is why they were multiplying by two, and now it's like you understand the topic, and that's literally the process, guys, of just understanding a topic, or not even a topic, but a question inside of a topic. Break it down. Every single live video that I do, the most important thing you should take from it is break down the topic, break down the subject. Do not ever say you're struggling with maths. Break it down. Think, what are you struggling with in maths? And then it will cause you to think deeper. It will cause you to think. If you say trigonometry, what are you struggling with in trigonometry? Now you start thinking, what exactly do I struggle with in trigonometry? That question that says simplify Ntoni Ntoni, and they give you one thing and you're supposed to simplify it to like a whole number or a trig ratio or something. Now you know what to focus on. You get what I'm saying? Now you know, okay, let me sit down and actually do five of these questions on simplifying trigonometric ratios. And with every single question, I am going to try and see where what came from where. Like, why did they say 180 minus x? And this is where you're also gonna identify your weak points. Oh, I actually didn't know. Or when it's cos, you say 180 minus. You're actually gonna identify some weak points in your basics. Sometimes you know your basics, but there's just that small thing that you tend to forget. So it's very important to just break it down, guys. I just gave you guys the overview essentially of what the process of just going through a topic, right? So I'll come back to that later. Queen B Uri, if my grade 11 and maths physics marks are bad, is it really chai? As in they're gonna reject me? Not necessarily. Definitely, that one I can assure you. Not necessarily. The only university that I know that actually rejects like first hand is UP. Like with UP, if you actually don't qualify, they will reject you immediately. Like with most universities, what they do when I could be is that they give you a provisional offer if you actually meet the requirements. Like or the main thing that they look at is the grade 12 results, right? So as bad as your results are, if you have applied, you can apply and then they won't say anything. But then if you're actually doing well in your grade 12, they'll be like, okay. Because remember also when you apply, I agree, it's like your grade 11 final and then your term 1 of grade 12. So if you start by making a promise to yourself right now, for my grade 12 term 1, I'm gonna be the most serious person I've ever serious ever. Or like if you just focus on that term 1, even now, dog, you're literally still within your finals. Well, that's why I'm like doing this live video so you can ask your questions or whatever. You're still in your finals and you can still change the steering wheel or whatever. There's still a lot of time for you to change your mentality. As much as the results are bad, but it's like there is still not a lot of chance. There is still a high chance of you just getting accepted